where we can control all the computers, sir.
Combination of storage and network is a
Oh,
server.
no, no. When you say someone says data center, you say what? The combination of what? Combination of
Servers and
servers
network.
plus storage plus network, right? I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when I say data center, it's a combination of server, storage, network placed into one area, right? That is called, we can call as what? IT infrastructure also we can say. IT infrastructure. But when I say server, what do you mean by server? The word server comes from the English, right? Common English language. Serve. A machine. That means a machine who can serve. Which can serve what? Which can serve a service. Example, I have a machine, and from that I have a kind of printer here connected to this printer. This machine is connected to a printer here, you can see. So now this machine is connected to printer, and all the users in my company, finance department, HR department, or testing department, developers, so the company said that you can access this server. All can access this server. They can access this printer. So this machine is called as what? With this service is basically serving what? It's a server, but it's serving what? Print. So we say what? Printer server. That means it's serving the services to all the users who want this printer. That means if they want, they can communicate to this machine and they can have print. And I have one more server. I have taken what? I have stored a lot of files here, which is used for what? My employees. So there are HR documents, HR policy document, and the financial kind of studies, and then you have kind of testing tools. A lot of files are there here, right? Store files for my project. So all the project related files are stored here. So if someone want to access, all the users should go from where? They should connect to this server, and they can request and they can access the files. So these also server. So this what kind of server we say? File server, because it's serving the files to the customers, serving the files to the users, right? So when you have a like Google Drive and you store the files and you share to your
Storage.
friends, yeah, file server is different, storage server is different, right? Storage means what? Space. It's not a file. I'll say that storage. I'll say here now about storage. Understand this concept. Now what I want to do is, I have a storage. A storage server will have what? A big space. That means terabytes and exabyte of storage data will be there. It's not a normal server. It's having what? Multiple disks. And I want that this server I purchased, my company's purchased the server because of what? Storage. And now everyone having their own computer, laptops. Every employee have their computer, laptops, and they want to install some kind of software. Now they want to run Oracle. So if I want to run the Oracle, I required what? Example 20 GB space. But this laptop does not have a space, and I want to install this lap. That means all these people, right? All these people want what? Oracle. Or someone want Microsoft SQL. They need some software. But I want that the space is not sufficient for installing here. So what I'll do? I'll say that take the space from here. Take the space from where? From the storage server. That means they are not going to use this local storage, their laptop storage. Whenever they are installing the Oracle or Microsoft SQL or some software, they're going to store this Oracle location. They'll use what? The storage server.
The storage server.
That means I'm just using accessing what? This storage for running my software. So install here, but running here, right? So now what I want to say that in this perspective we got as what? Storage server. You got print server, file server, storage server. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now one more options, right? One more I'll just give. Now we have a word. I kept something here in this server. Website data. I kept word of website here, website applications. I stored the website and I said anyone want to access. I have hundreds and thousands of users, they want to access the website. So now I launch and I is running this application here. So if someone want to access, they can request to this server and they can access what? The website. So this server is basically called what?
It's a firewall server.
Web server.
Okay.
The server which serve websites is called web server. I'm typing google.com. So who is giving the website to me? Google.
Web server.
Google having a kind of web server, right? And that they are running that application. So they are serving the web pages to me. YouTube, when I'm typing YouTube, Facebook, when I type any website, I'm getting the pages. Who is serving from that company? Which server? Web server is serving the pages where they are having some kind of web application data. Is it clear? What is web server? What is storage server? What is file server? What is a kind of print server? Is it clear?
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now next. I just installed this server. I just installed what? Oracle here. And here my application, website application need what? Oracle. That means whatever the user is doing registration here, they are searching something here, they are storing, they are logging with the credentials, they are doing registration. So all this information stored into where? Database server. Oracle is a database software. So now whenever the request to the website will request to what? Database to get the information about the price. Example, I'm on a Flipkart. When I say, if I select the product, it will give quantity, stock available, what is the price, discount, and their photos, information about vendors, who is supplying this, everything will be given. That means this information is taking application, bringing from where? Database. So now, when the database is served, that means it's serving what? Database of a company, of a product. So that is called what? Database server. Wherever you have installed Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL, that machine who is serving the data to the particular application or users, that server is called what? Database server. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, we got an idea about servers, right? So now, I'm just want to give a clear picture. My company got a project. My company got a project. What project? They got a kind of project. Example, I'll say that it's a kind of online. They want to say virtual doctor. Virtual doctor. So this company, my company got a project. They have to develop an application called what? Virtual doctor application. Someone demanded from Canada. They want to run that application in their country. They want to give virtual doctor services. Now, this software is developed by developers. They have developed developer. It's not one developer. You may have multiple developers. To develop a software, it's not only one developer, Python or something, Java. It can be Java developers, few Java developers. Some are Python developers, some are Go language developers. Sometimes people like different people, right? So now, what exactly they need they need a kind of application wherever they are developing, wherever they are coding, right? They are coding on their local laptop and they are creating some application modules. All the modules, after building all those things, they want to test it. So if they want to test, they require some kind of servers. Which servers? The developer says to cloud engineer, I want a web server, I want an app server, I want database server. I want 3-tier architecture. I want 3 basic servers to run internally and to test whether the application is working or not. Okay, before forwarding to testing department, we want to do what?
Excuse me, sir. What will be the difference between the storage server and the app server?
Okay, fine. Storage is different thing, right? Storage, I said what? Where you have a space, terabytes, exabytes space. I want to give space, not files, not software, nothing. You are giving
Only
a
space.
Yes, space. That is called storage server. When I say database server, database is giving what? A application which is having some data, the company data, business data, which is stored here, and I'm supplying the data to the application, right, or users. That is called what? Database server. Is it clear now? Storage?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now every application nowadays, like basically what we do, we run on 3 components, 3 kind of separate dedicated servers. We don't want to run, we have a facility, we have a kind of like choice that we can run everything in a one single server, web, app, database. We can run this because your application required to store the data, so they will use what? Database. And your application to run your business logic, Python or Java, .NET application, they want to run the code, they need application. There is Java application, .NET application, Python application. And your application need user interfaces, the pages, beautiful pages, buttons, colors, photos, videos. That is basically what? Served by web. So they need different kind of things. They can install in one system, but to handle the load, to troubleshoot easily, to handle that particular security system, so mostly in production, in a real time, we'll go for what? Separate dedicated machines. Separate dedicated machines. So now, as we said, to run one application, we require 3 components, or we can say 3 tier. Web, application, database. To make this web server, I need to have a Linux or Windows machine first. Then I have to install some packages, software, right, to make a web server. Nginx is common. HTTPD is there. Nginx is used by Facebook, YouTube, and a lot of big application using what? Nginx as a web server. Whatever the pages you are getting from Facebook or something, they are running what? Nginx is a software which used to serve the web pages. So web pages, whatever the developer develop, so the web pages, I'll go forward. The web pages will be built with what? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They can use this kind of 3 script and they develop. And there's different kind of languages they use. And I want to keep where? This web pages here. And whenever you click, example, you go here, flipkart.com, and when you click here, I want to say that appliances. I'm going for appliances. So when I click appliances, I'm getting some different page, right, which saying star brands or new launches, new technology, something. So when I click on this brand, MI or OnePlus, I want to go for this MI, right? I want to purchase this. When I click here, I'll get a different page. So when I'm seeing this information, the price, rating, reviews, and the price which is offered here, and the offers, bank offer, which are related to this, and the specification of that, and here it's going to be a review here, and you have a lot of things, information about this product, okay, specification, a lot of things, ratings and the customer feedbacks. So now, if I click on this button, in that button there will be a program. That means they'll write some code. When you say inspect, it will say the background code, what is written. That means in a button background, a programmer will write some logic. When I click on this, I should have what? Username or mobile number. When I say 9849831370, when I say request for OTP, that means this OTP and this taking the username, mobile number, sending the OTP. This is called business logic, which is written into what? Python or Java or .NET application. So now this is going to be, they are going to supply a kind of Python code to you or Java code, and this code you have to keep into where? You have to run into where?
App server.
And here we have to run what? Whenever we supply that, here it should be what? One operating system should be there, Linux or Windows, and you should have what? Python software to be installed here, because I'm running Python code. To run the Python code, Python should be running on this server. And if you have Java, you should have installed what? Java installed. Then Java can be compiled. So now you understand this one same application, but some few codes are basically go for what? Web pages. And the business application, business logic, which will be written in Java, Python, will be set into what? Application server. And they have given some kind of data. So data need to be stored into where? You want that the data should
Database
be stored
server.
in database. So I'll just go for what? Linux or Windows, whatever it may be, the operating system first. Then I'll install what? Microsoft SQL if you are .NET.
Okay.
Then if you have PHP or Python or something, MySQL. Or if you have some Java program, Java based program, then you can go for Oracle. But Oracle is going to be enterprise level. It's going to be depend on this your application. They can go for Oracle. So when you install this, so this data can be attached to this database. So now these three applications, when they are ready, you have to integrate it. You have to link. Now when it's ready, so whenever the customer requests, so the request goes to the data web server. The first request goes to what? Whenever they type www. something YouTube or facebook.com, the page will be served by web server. Then when you click on the search and you want to something, you want some channel, you want some kind of videos, when you search, the request goes to what? Application logic. They'll filter, they'll check out the name, and after that they'll communicate to what? Application will communicate to database. And from there, whatever the list, videos and whatever that particular videos are available on the database store or any storage server, they'll bring and they'll forward to what? Customer. So this way, that means to one request goes to what? Web will communicate to application will communicate to database. So this way, this all application working with this functionality. So now you got a contract and the company says what? The company says that you need to provide 3 servers to the developer team. So you're going to launch, and they are saying that we are going to use what? Which platform? AWS Cloud Platform, not physical server. Earlier, if you want to give physical server, you have to purchase from a market. You have to install the Linux and Windows. You have to install Java, Python, or Nginx or Oracle. You have to install all those things, and you have to give the link, username, password, and IP address to the customer. Or you're going to take the code and you're going to run here. Now, if you do this, it takes a lot of what time? 3 hours, 4 hours. But if you want to go for cloud, in a cloud, you can go within what? Within 5 minutes. It's very fast compared to the physical earlier what we used to do, and the costly. But how much I am going to invest? Nothing. I'm not going to pay to like Amazon. I'm going to use it. If I use for 4 hours, Amazon will calculate 4 hours, they'll charge. So if I want to launch the servers on Amazon cloud platform, which service I'm going to use? Can you say that please? Can you guess it? Which service?
EC2.
EC2. If you want to launch any server, you're going to go for what? EC2 service. Is it clear now? Our topic
Yes,
is
sir.
what? EC2. So now why we are learning this? When we get a project and your developer says that I want this server, that server, Linux and Windows, please give me. So I want to test my server. I want to run some application on that. And again you are saying what? One more team is saying that I want few servers on Linux and Windows with different application. Testing team, developer team asking something different software, and testing team is asking something different software, and they want some web application database. They want to test here. And once this test completed, the company want, like here, that after that successfully test, the company want what? They
Production.
want a production
Live.
live. They want that the software should be released in the market. When it's released, we say what? A live, right? The application live and everyone can access worldwide. So when you want to do that, you have to set up servers. Here also required server, here also required server, here also required server with some applications. Now this is going to be low hardware, that means low resources, because internal team is using. Here also internal resource, low resources. How much RAM? 4 GB, 8 GB, something, that's it. But here, and you need a what? A strong, powerful machine. A powerful hardware you required, it's a machine you required. So it can be what? It can be 64 GB RAM or 128 GB RAM. You need what? 32 CPUs. You need a big capacity, right? Speed also good. Now you need a lot of security also here. So, but common thing is what? Servers. The common thing is what? Server. You should know how to launch the server for your developers, testing peoples, or in production. If you want to run application, so how do you launch the servers? Sometimes they are asking about Linux, sometimes they are asking about Windows, sometimes they are asking some WordPress, sometimes they are saying Java, sometimes they are saying Python, sometimes they are something. So how can I do that? So now we have to learn which service? So Amazon is saying that
EC2.
EC2 service help you to what? Help you to launch virtual server. You can say virtual server or you can say virtual machine. Amazon saying that this service can help you to launch servers and virtual machine on an AWS cloud, AWS account. And they are saying what? And manage also, it's not only for launch. The EC2 service can help you to create and launch and manage the servers also. So who is going to do this management and launching? The cloud engineer responsible in a company. Because cloud engineer will have a complete rights to work on what? The server, storage, network services, and the security and your automation. So this is the common definition I'm just giving, and very brief. The servers, the EC2 help you to launch the servers, virtual machine, virtual server on a cloud account and manage it. So now you can see that. What is EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud. The full form of EC2 is what? Elastic Compute Cloud. Please mute your mic. So Elastic Compute Cloud here, you can see. So now, when I say Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon saying that it's a computing service. When I say compute, the word is basically called servers, which need what? Server component, RAM, CPU, storage, operating system. So these are service. So Amazon saying that we have two types of computing service, basically Lambda and EC2. You have a choice to use it and depend on your situation. If you want to use for running small services without any servers component, that means you don't bother about RAM, CPU or hard disk or operating system or middleware software, Python, Java, .NET. You don't bother about that. We will maintain for you. That means a serverless computing service. Amazon is offering what? Serverless computing service. It's also called as what? Also does what? Computing. Which is what? Which is fully managed service. Which is what? Fully managed service. When I say fully
Sir,
managed,
does it come under SaaS model?
not SaaS. You say what? PaaS.
Okay, platform
PaaS
as a
means what?
service.
Platform means the hardware,
Yeah.
RAM, CPU, and operating system, Linux, Windows, or your Java or Python. Up to here, Amazon saying that I'm going to take care about that. You don't bother about installing, deploying, patching, updating, maintenance of operating system, application, hardware. You just go ahead and just run the code. Run the code. Don't bother about this infrastructure. We'll maintain. So that's why we say PaaS, platform as a services for developer. When I say SaaS, SaaS is not for developer. SaaS is ready-made software which is used by the client. That kind of service called what? SaaS. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Good question. Okay. Now, so it comes under what? PaaS model. Right? PaaS model. Platform as a service. So Amazon saying that we have a Lambda service which is serverless computing service. Why they are saying serverless? Because it says that you don't worry about RAM, CPU and hard disk. No need to request about this. No need to calculate this, how much you want. And operating system also don't worry. Application don't worry. We will go with that. Fully managed means what? CPU, RAM, storage, run, or like OS, run time. Runtime is what? Python, Java, .NET. These are runtime. Runtime by AWS. Fully managed by AWS. Just bring code and run it. And pay what? Pay only when you run. So that means it's very cheapest. Amazon saying that don't pay for your server components, RAM, CPU, storage, operating system. Don't bother about that. We'll maintain and don't pay for that. Only pay when you run it. If you just, your code is stored but it's not running, you don't pay it. So these services is offered to the developer to run small modules or some small kind of application process. They can use it. But right now, if you want to set up your own customization, you want operating system according to you, you want to install your customized application, you want to set up your third-party software. So this all things, if you want to do your own style and own customization, you cannot go for Lambda. You have to go for what? EC2. EC2 comes under which model?
Infrastructure.
As a
Infra as a service.
Infrastructure as a service.
Sir, in Lambda, when you say pay only when you run, it
Yes.
means like when you run the code and when you get the result, at that time, at the particular time, only the AWS will charge, right?
Yes. Example, I run the code. It took time for what? 2 minutes. It will charge for what? Only 2 minutes. And
Okay.
okay, remember this point. When the code is stored, they will not charge. That's why Amazon says Lambda also. We have a separate topic on Lambda, but I'm just comparing. I want to give some logic that Amazon is offering serverless and server-based computing service. Here it is saying serverless, the terminology. Why they are serverless? Because the server component will be managed by Amazon. That's why they are saying that. Don't worry about that. Just bring your code, run it, and pay only when you run. They have given reduce the cost, flexibility of running, but having some limitation. But you have full control over operating system. You have a full control. You can have your own application. You can have your own customized softwares. You can install. You can configure. You can do your own side. That is called what? EC2 can give you that for particular things. That's why we say it's not fully managed. It's a what? Self-managed. So this is basically using by Apple and LinkedIn. They are using in their infrastructure what service? EC2 service. to run their own customized application. You have a lot of flexibility here. So servers based IaaS model means self-managed service of computing. Customer need to select hardware resources. Customer need to select what? They need to understand how much RAM, how much CPU, how much storage you require. You're going to select. You're going to request to Amazon, I want this hardware, because this EC2 is used in a real time, in a production level, a powerful machine. You can customize hardware, you can use whatever the hardware you want, how much RAM, how much CPU. Amazon having a lot of range of hardware resources are available. So now you have to select what? Even operating system also. Do you want to go for Windows or Linux? Which Linux? Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS? What do you want? You have a choice. And after that, application also. You want to install Oracle, you want MariaDB, you want MySQL, you want Java. Which version? Java 11, Java 14, Java 15, Java 17. What do you require? So according to your requirement, project requirement, you can select all the things. You have a full rights. So that is going to be used in very complicated projects. That is going to be very important subject here. But you have to manage your own. You have to update your operating system yourself. Application upgrading and updating, troubleshooting, you have to do yourself. Backup, you have to do yourself. So that is called self-manage. But you will have full control over what? Operating system, where you can do any changes. Now, and how you are going to pay for this? And you pay
As you go.
as you go. That means the Lambda also pay as you go, but it's saying pay when you run. When you say what? Pay as you when you run. But here when you go means what? The word go. What they are using the word go? When you launch. And but your application is, your server is launched, Windows operating system and your Java, PHP, Python, everything is running. And your customer is not coming for that particular subject. Example, I have launched a new application, but customer is not coming for my application access, but my server is start. When my server started, you have to pay for the charges. Go means what? You launch the server, you start the server, you have to pay whether your application being used or not. You run, you have to pay. Okay, the server running, right? Whenever you run the server, they'll start charging of that. And you store some code, you store some application, that will be charged again. The computing charges plus storage charges you have to pay. So but you have a lot of flexibility here. You have a lot of flexibility. But cheaper is what? Lambda. But limitation, and you have not full control. So depending on the situation, you have to go for sometime Lambda, sometime EC2. But EC2 is for complicated and a big project. You are going to go for EC2. As I said, a lot of customers using what? EC2 service to have a lot of flexibility. Now, how Amazon charging? Is a fixed charges. Amazon, how they charge usually? Fixed charges, pay as you go charges. That means you use it and you pay it. And if you stop, we don't charge. But sometimes they'll say what? Use the service, we have a fixed charges. Monthly you have to pay. You use or not. Example, you started the service and sometime you're using, sometime you're not using. They don't bother. They say what? Fixed charges. When you initialize that service, you requested and you have to pay monthly these fixed charges. $0.50 Example, I'm using some Route 53 service of Amazon. It's a fixed charges. Elastic IP address if I take, it's a fixed charges whether you use or not. So some services comes under fixed charges. Some services comes under what? Pay as you go model. So our elastic computing charge comes under what? Pay as you go model. It's not a fixed charges. According to your hardware, according to operating system, they'll charge different charges would be there. EC2 gets billed on this factor. Which factors? Computing, EBS storage, and then what? Data transfer. Remember this point. These three factors, Amazon make a bill of your EC2 service when you use it. When you use the server, they'll charge computing, storage, and data transfer. Is it clear now? Now,
Yes, sir.
when I go for my account, I want to launch EC2. So I have to give a request. Whenever I want to launch, I have to give a request toward Amazon. What type of server I required. So now let's understand how to request what? AWS for a server. So when you open the EC2 and when you say launch, it will ask some parameters. They'll say what? Which operating system you required? Number one, you have to select. Which hardware you required? That means they say instance type. They're asking what their own terminology called instance type, and they're asking what AMI here. Whenever I'm selecting AMI, I'm selecting what? Operating system. Which hardware you want? They're saying instance type. That means how much RAM, how much CPU, what do you require? And they'll ask what? How much storage you required? Your local disk. So we call as what? EBS volume. In Amazon they call as EBS volume. Do you need firewall for protecting your server? To protect your server? Yes. Amazon says it's called what? Security group. You have to request. And do you need credentials for this server? We call as what? Key pair. So I need to give all this parameter to Amazon. On the base of that, it will give you the rental server from their infrastructure and you access it. Now these are the kind of question, right? So now let's see the important point here. This is the important point. Instance type. When you go to the store and you want to purchase a server, a Dell server, HP server, so there are a lot of varieties of servers are there, and every server having their own kind of what? Their model. A model latitude model or something Spark module, and they said that this model having what? 64 GB RAM or 8 CPUs. Server, you know that laptop is going to have 1 CPU, and the maximum laptop capacity of the RAM is what? 64 GB in a market. If you purchase right now in the market 64 GB RAM laptop, you will find the highest configuration. But server will start with what? 64 GB. It can be 128, 256, 512. So you'll have a good kind of like capacity of RAM. So now server will have what? More support of the RAM, CPU. CPU can be 2, 4, 8, 16, 64, 128. You can have a lot of CPUs. So now when you enter the store, you'll find varieties of servers and having different pricing. One is going to be 3 lakhs, one is going to be 4 lakhs, one is going to be 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs. So depending on the RAM and CPU, they'll charge you. And when you go for laptop purchasing also, i3, i5, i7, and they have some kind of models, latitude, right? And other modules, different models are there. So when you go for that model and you say that specification, on the base of that, the vendor will charge you. So now let's understand, if I go to the Amazon and when I go for launch in a EC2 service, so the first is going to what? AMI. They're asking about what? Amazon machine image. Image nothing but a what? The template which is predefined, install and configure for you. You can just launch it within 5 minutes. Amazon saying that AMI is a what? Template that contains the software configuration plus operating system. So Amazon saying that we are offering thousands of your images. What your company required. Sometime a company required SUSE Linux, Red Hat Linux, Windows, Ubuntu or Amazon Linux. So you choose from here. If you don't have your requirement, click on the browse and search in a Windows. Example, I want a machine with Oracle.
Excuse me, sir. The productivity of a physical server when compared to this Amazon image, will it be the exactly same or what? I mean, is there any kind of less productivity in image?
Now, basically, your company required, your manager said that I need this kind of server, right? This version, this server, the CPU, RAM, and there's specified some specification to you. Mostly you'll find on the AWS. Its latest updated, a lot of requirements are defined by the Amazon. You just type, you'll get a lot of things. If you do not if you do not find it, what do you have to do? You have to take plain Linux without application. You have to download and you have to install yourself, because ECT having the flexibility. You can have your own customized application. You can install your own. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, so they're offering what? Red Hat, Oracle Database 19 Enterprise, right? And they're asking about a lot of versions, different version and different kind of application here. If I want SAP, my company required SAP. If I type SAP, they'll give what? SAP here, SAP BO43 SP3 something, which is on Windows Server, right? Microsoft. I want Linux plus, yes, we have a Red Hat also. Red Hat plus SAP, RHEL SAP 8.2.0. So if my company required this, I can go for select. But there will be a kind of charges. It's not free. So whenever it's free, it will be written here beside the image. It will say free tier. Then you have to use. If you use free tier in a free tier account, if you use this any images, Amazon will charge you according to that. So be careful while practicing. Just go ahead with basic free tier operating system. If I select Amazon Linux, it's saying what? Free tier. If I go for Mac operating system, it's not saying free tier Sonoma. So it's saying that it's offered, but it's not free right now. You have to pay. But if I select this Ubuntu, it's saying what? Free tier. If I select Windows, Microsoft Windows, it's saying what? Free tier. If I select Red Hat, it's saying what? Free tier. So what I'm getting is, I'm getting some kind of operating system which is free or which is paid. If you do not see any kind of free, don't use it, because you are into free tier. Amazon will charge you. So for practice, they have given a platform, they have given some limited resources, use it. So you can do practice and you can clear your examination, you can understand your subject, and you can be a cloud engineer. So that means resources are very less. There is no problem, because we are not doing in a real time. RAM and CPU, big RAM or big CPU. So that's why you have to select proper. Example, my company required Amazon Linux. I'm selecting this AMI. Then the second question, they'll ask about what? Instance type. And this instance type also they're saying that's free tier. Amazon giving 1 GB RAM, 1 CPU for you, rental. This server they're giving you rental as a free. There is no charges, 12 months. And they're saying if you want, after the free tier, if you want to pay, how much they are going to charge? For Linux, they're charging $0.0116 per hour. If you go for Windows with the same machine, if you're using Windows image and with the same RAM and CPU, they're saying $0.0162, which is higher than this Linux. Okay. Now, different operating system, different charges. Amazon saying that these are going to be per hour charges. So if you just calculate these charges per hour, you can see that I have given some notes here. A sample machine, right? If I go for T2 Micro, which is free in a free tier account, after 12 months you have to pay for that. So Amazon is offering what? 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM. If I go for Linux, so how much Amazon saying what? $0.0116. When you multiply, it's a per hour charges. If you multiply, example, my company required the server should run 24/7. So 24 hours. So if I just multiply this hourly charges with 24 hours, I'll get what cost? 23 rupees per hour. Sorry, per day. I have to go for what? 23 rupees. And the US dollar is what? $0.2 US per day. If you run for 24 hours, right? And now you see that you want to go for 30 days. So you do what? The per day charges is $0.US, multiply with 30 days, and you get what? $6. That means in INR, Indian rupees, is going to how much? 690. That means if you take this T2 micro and using for 24 hours and 365, that means your 30 days. So how much you're going to pay? With tax, it may be hardly go for what? 800 rupees. That means 800, you're using the rental of Amazon. It's a very cheaper. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Ibn,
Yes.
everyone is listening here. Rishabh,
Yes,
Yes, sir.
please
Yes, sir.
communicate. It's very important. Now, we have not T2 micro. We have other thing also. Amazon says that we offer varieties of models. T2 micro, C5. I want to say go for C5. C5 large is saying 2 CPU, 4 GB. So if your requirement, your company required this kind of server, we can take a rental from Amazon, and Amazon charges would be theirs. And if you go for 9x large, 36 CPUs and 72 GB. If you go for 24x large, they're saying what? 96 CPUs and 192 GB RAM. It's a good configuration, right? So if I take this rental, Amazon saying the charges would be here. And check out the charges. C5 24 large. How much CPUs? In interview, whenever you talk about EC2, they'll talk about this. What type of instance you know about that? Can you just tell me something about T2 micro? What configuration? C5, M5. Can you say that RAM and CPU? How much is going to charge? Do you know per day and per hour how much charge? Because you need to go with computing. Whenever you go, you need to understand these charges. So you can say that I can save money for the customer when you know about this idea, how they're charging. So now, if you go for 96 CPUs and memory, I want a strong server for my production. So if I take this, so Windows base is charging what? $8.496 per hour. So if you multiply it with 24 hours, you're going to go for what? $201 per day. The per day you have to pay this much charge for this kind of machine rental. And $201 into 30 days, and you're going to go for what? $6030 per month. Can you just convert into INR, please, for me? Anyone? Quickly. $6030. Can you show that INR? Samya, Zoha.
It's 499,3191.64.
499
Basically.
999
499,391.64.
391.64.
0.64.
Getting point? So they are giving a rental of what? A small system to big system also. That means per month is paying what? You see that?
50,000.
Right? So that means how much basically conversion can just convert? 6,000 is basically equal to what? Is it okay? 499,391 rental.
Almost 5 lakhs, I guess, sir.
Okay, that means this heavy machine, if you want to purchase from a market 96 CPU and 120 GB of this kind of market, so it's going to what? 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs one server. Getting point? And you have to go for what? Extra cost
Yes,
also.
yes.
That means operating system and everything. That's going to be very costly. So you're paying for what? Per month, if you want to pay, go for Windows, because Windows licensing also included. It's not CPU. Again, Windows licensing also you have to pay. That's why it's increasing. But whenever you go for Red Hat Linux, it's 50% reduced. You can see that. Per hour, you have 4, and then 24 hour, $101 per day. And if you just multiply with the 30 days and you go forward, 3,000. Almost is half, right? It's going to what? 2.5 lakhs INR. Is it clear? So when you are choosing, you have to choose wisely. Whether you go for Windows and your customer is saying that, please, I want the cheaper cost. But because customer don't know about Windows, Linux and this RAM, CPU, they don't know. But they'll say what? My application should be run down, like high available, always available, and it should be secure, good performance, and cost should be less. So if you know this factor, how to select Linux and Windows, and how to select what kind of CPU and RAM, how much it's going to cost, whether it's required or not, you have to calculate all those things. Now, it's not only the charges of instance type. Amazon will charge for what? Storage also. Example, you go to the store and you purchase a laptop, and which says what? 80,000 cost for the laptop, and you want additional hard disk, you want storage, local hard disk storage, additional hard disk you require, and you said 1 TB extra, I want SSD hard disk, so that will be a cost, separate cost. So the computing charges, they are charging with only operating system, CPU, RAM, remember this point. And the separate hard disk you have to order to Amazon, you have to request, with this server I need a volume, EBS, elastic block storage. So minimum it's offering by default 8 GB RAM. If you take Linux and you want to run in testing and dev environment, you'll go for only 8 GB RAM, but in production maybe you required more. Just calculate with 8 GB. The per hour they are charging what? Per GB, sorry, not per hour, per GB they are charging what? Per GB they are charging 0.08 GB US dollar per GB, and it's going to be monthly charges, it's not hourly. You use it, the fixed charges monthly. It's not a pay as you go model. You allocate, you have taken the RAM, you have taken the hard disk storage, and you have to pay whether used or not. Remember this point, it's a fixed charges. Now 0.08 into what? 8. If you calculate, that means per month, if you just calculate 8 GB, because per GB is this, I want to find out per month. So when I say calculate my 8 GB with this per GB, then you go what? 0.64. That means 53 INR for 8 GB. You have to pay a month. That means you have to go for the basic configuration example. That is going to be rental of what? 800 rupees. And then you have to go for what? 53 rupees. That means almost 1000 rupees. Storage plus computing, paying. And they'll charge for the speed, IOPS separately. For storage, when you go to the market, when you want to purchase hard disk 1, hard disk 2, hard disk 3 in a market, you go to a store and you say that I want 1 TB hard disk, and they said 4,000 price, and you knock to second store and they said what? 5,000. Same hard disk, same company, same size, 1 TB. What's the difference? The difference is what? Every hard disk with the same size will have different various of performance, input, output, transmission. So the transmission is called what? In a speed unit called what? IOPS, IOPS, input output per second. So Amazon charge with a size what you have taken, and what are charges. If you take 3000 IOPS, it's free for you initially. Then after 3000 IOPS, they'll charge for what? 0.005 US dollar. That means it's hardly is going to be what? 100 rupees. When you go for 100 plus this computing charges, it's going to be 1000, 1100. These all are on demand. When you specify that specific server and you say that Amazon asking, how do you want to go? Do you want to pay lump sum for this, or do you want to go for hourly basis? Amazon says, how do you want to pay? Do you want to go for at a time for a year, 1 year? If you want to give 1 year, if you pay the 1 year charges, we'll give a 60% to 70% discount. And Amazon saying, if you don't want to go for lump sum advance payment, and you want to pay how you use, sometimes you use 4 hours, sometimes you use 3 hours, and you want to pay accordingly. So Amazon says that comes under which scheme? On demand. The pricing model, Amazon saying what? On demand. You're having a wish, that means you pay only when you use. If you stop it, you don't pay. That is called on demand. In production, if you want to save costs, example, my application is developed. This on demand service, where I'm going to use? In the testing and developer, for developer internally, if they want the servers and they are not using continuously, sometimes they are using for 3 hours, sometimes they are using for 4 hours, sometimes 8 hours, or sometimes 1 day, sometimes not using. So I don't want to go for this commitment. Why should I go for that? Only I just go for hourly charges. But when application develop and it's ready in a market to release, and every business whenever they want to release in a market, they'll go for 1 year, 3 years, they'll test their application business. They try too hard. If the business fail, they'll stop. But at least 1 year they'll stop. They'll go with that, right? So Amazon saying if you are going 1 year or 3 years, commitment to us, will give 60 to 70% discount for the same price. Example, monthly you're getting what? 1000 rupees here. Example, this T2 micro, 1000 rupees. If you take same machine and if you pay the advance payment, if you're ready for the advance payment for 3 years, 1000 multiplied by what? 12 months, 1 year. That's going to be what? 12,000. 12,000 again. If you want to go for 2 years, that means 24,000. But if you pay lump sum, that 24,000 can have a discount of what? 60 to 70%. Amazon saying you have to pay advance. Just give, I'll give a 60%. So you have to understand how to save the money of the customer, when to take on demand, when to take what? Reserved. The word here they are saying that reserve instance. If you go for on demand instance, you have to pay as you go, but it's going to be costly. But reserve, when you're going for production and you make sure that you have a prediction that you're going to run this server for 1 year, 3 years. So Amazon saying 60% discount. You say that 36 months, 3 years on demand. If you take, that costs you what? 36,000. The T2 micro, I'm just giving example of T2 micro. But if you go with the same machine with the reserved, you save your customer money. How much? 101 US dollar. That means you just pay 101. That means how much you pay? You're not going to pay 36,000. You'll get what? 8,484, 70% discount. So you have to understand how to get discount, when to use reserve model, when to use on demand. You can see here, when I launch the server, I'm just cancelling this. I'm going back. And when I go back this, I'll show you how to check on demand, how to check reserve. You can see that on the right side you'll find what? Reserve. If I go for reserved here, it's going to say what? It's going to say you want to purchase? Yes. Which machine? Linux or Windows? You can select here. I want Linux, and I want to go for what? T2 micro. How many months? I want to go for 3 years. And I want to upfront, I want to give complete payment. I want to do that. My company is ready to pay. When I search, you're saying what? 36 months, you're going to pay what? Effective charges would be this 0.004. It's very less. And you're saying that upfront price will be what? 115 you have to pay. 36 months. And there is no hourly charges. You got a point? You save a lot of money here. And you have to pay right now. You have to say what? After selecting, you have to pay right now. Amazon will say that you have to pay. Add card and you pay. So depend on that requirement. In a production, you'll go for only reserve. In an interview, they'll ask, in production, which type of pricing model you're going to choose to save the cost. You say reserve instance, where you can have a 60 to 70% discount on the base of your upfront. You want to pay 50%, you want to pay complete charges, you'll get definitely a good discount. When you click here, when you launch,
excuse me, sir, but in production the project will be live, right? So in production the project will be live, right?
okay,
And we'll be consistently using the services of AWS.
okay.
Then how are we not getting charged by AWS when we are using it?
I did not
Because
say
it's
I did not say free. I'm sorry. I said that discount you'll get. It's a business strategy. If you go to supermarket or anything,
because we are paying on lump sum. I mean,
Yes.
at once.
they are giving discount. That's why they are giving discount. You go any purchasing any kind of business, and you want to purchase. Example, you want to take one car, they'll charge standard rate. And if you say that I want to pay, I want installment or lump sum. If you go for lump sum, they'll reduce some amount. If you go for installment, they increase the amount. And if you purchase 5 cars, they'll give what? They'll give 20%, 10%, 30% discount. If you go for supermarket and you purchase a big bill and they said that to increase the sale, they increase the sales, they'll make discount because of what? If you purchase 5,000, we'll give 10% discount. If you go for 10,000 bill, if you go for 20,000 bill, we'll make 5%, 10%. Same way, the Amazon is also giving this kind of strategy for sales. Is it clear?
Got it, sir.
And instance, when you click this instance, you're selecting what? You're going for on demand. If you launch from here, you're going for on demand. Remember this point, pay as you go model. That means on demand is different charges, reserve will be different charges. And when to use reserve, when to use on demand, that's very important. For development and testing environment, you go for mostly on demand. When it's not used continuously, people are not using continuously. So why to go for reserve? You go for on demand and you pay it. But when you're sure that this server required for 365 days and 24/7 running continuously, you definitely go for reserve. You save the money for the customer. And spot. Example, one more option Amazon is giving. You want to do what? You want to run the server, you want to use the server for personal use. You're not storing any confidential data. And you want the server. So Amazon is saying, when you want to do some R&D, research, you want to just have a challenge and you want to run some Linux and Windows, some application, you want to do practice on that and you're not storing some data important. So Amazon is saying, go to the spot instance where we'll give 90% discount for you. But the servers, no guarantee. Sometime in running, it will be terminated. So they have defined spot, they have offering the spot and reserve and on demand, and you understand this kind of concept and how they're charging. If you understand this in a real time, you definitely, your employer will help you with you. A cloud engineer not having this knowledge, and they'll what? Next, they'll launch and they'll say, yeah, I have done Linux and Windows, everything done, sir. After a month, you're getting heavy bills, and they'll say, what is this? If the technical person in a company is not good, so definitely company will get lost. So if you know this knowledge, how they are charging, what I have to select, whether I need to go for in reserve, when I have to go for on demand, these are the logic here. You need to know as a cloud engineer. Any questions here?
No, sir. No, sir.
Now the purpose of the EC2 service, as I said, what? To deploy, launch and spin. In interview they can ask you, why do you use EC2 service? You say deploy. The word you can say deploy, the word you can say launch, you can say spin. Which machine? Physical machine or virtual machine? Virtual. I want to request to Amazon that I want this rental server. So I'm using EC2 and I'm going to deploy virtual server, virtual machine, or Amazon using the word as what? Instance. So you can use instance also. But when you go for Microsoft Azure, they're using what? Virtual machine. The words meanings are same. So now deploy Windows, Linux or Mac. And Amazon only is providing the Mac because Apple is a customer of Amazon. Microsoft is not. Microsoft and Apple having what? They have a good competition. They don't talk to each other. Apple and Microsoft, Windows and Mac. So, but Apple is using Amazon platform. That's why they are collaborated. Okay, and within 5 minutes, you can launch these servers within 5 minutes. But in physical and like if you do on premises, it's going to take hours, 3 hours and 4 hours. But quickly. That means you are jing about the service to deploy and launch the Linux and Windows within 5 minutes by using AMI of Amazon templates. So we can run Java, Python, .NET, Ruby, Go or something, customized application. And like customized application means virtual doctor, rent a car, food delivery system, e-commerce. If you want any kind of application, you can run your own customized applications also here. Database, MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL, whatever you want to do. And customer need to maintain self, but the maintenance of the software will be, but you have a lot of flexibility here. So you have to say this way. how Amazon generate bill? You have to say storage, data transfer, and then computing. And the monthly bill will be generated. It's not hourly bill. It's not weekly bill. They'll generate on monthly, and they'll notify you, email you, and you have to pay according to you online. Is it clear up to here? Interview question say that pricing model. Pricing model is what? On demand, reserve, and spot. And one more model is 4 model. That is what? Dedicated means physical. Physical is what? My company, financial company, they don't want to go for shared model. They want only a server from Amazon rental without the other customer should not use that server. That is called dedicated. Physical. Amazon saying yes, we want to do business. You want without sharing? I'll give a dedicated server to you without sharing. This on demand and reserve and spot are shared. A physical server on Amazon infrastructure is shared to multiple customers. That's why it is very cheaper. But if you want dedicated server also, Amazon saying yes, we have to offer, but it's very costly. Remember this point. So interview question they can ask, what are the pricing model and how do you differences? So as I said, pricing model is good to go for what? On demand, dev and testing model, testing environment. For production, is good to go for what? Reserve, you save a lot of money here. Dedicated, when you want privacy, you want that dedicated to my only organization, not to any customers. Spot is for only practice and doing some kind of research, where you do not store the important data. So now to launch server in AWS, you need to specify the parameter. I was just explaining about instance type, AMI. You have to select all those things. Instance type, AMI, key pair, security group. Security group is a what? It's a kind of what? Firewall of the server. Host level firewall to protect it. Amazon giving protection also. And key pair is a what? Amazon saying that to connect the server after launching, there will be a credential which is very highly encrypted concept. The call as what? Encryption concept called what? Key pair. So in more technical we can say asymmetric encryption. They use asymmetric means which having 2 keys. One lock, the 2 keys. That means the lock cannot be opened with 1 key. It should be have what? 2 keys. That's now a lot of people are practicing on key pair system. So Amazon also is giving private key and public key here. So with the help of that, the system can be protected from the DDoS attack and other attacks. So fine, you have to give parameter, you have to select the key pair, you have to go for security group, you have to go for VPC network. So these things will make a diagram, we'll see how to launch one by one. But now the first class I have explained you what is the purpose of the server. What do you mean by server? What is print server? What is web server? What is database server? What is application server? Why do you require 3-tier architecture to run one application? I said this performance and security. And if testing environment, you need base servers, but in production environment, you require very powerful machines. So when you launch the server, if you want to launch and maintain the server, Amazon saying use the EC2 service where you can launch and you can maintain the servers. So we got an idea about this, and we got an idea while launching you have to very concentrate, very careful on what? Pricing. Which machine on demand, reserve, how do you select, in which situation? Use cases are very important. Any questions now, please? I'm just concluding this session, but I want some kind of question if you have anything. Abin?
Sir, use cases, sir.
Use cases, I said, when I want to go for production environment. So I'm going to go for what? Reserve. The use case of like testing and dev environment internally. So I'll go for what? On demand. Use cases number 3 is going to what? When I'm going to use for my personal use, where I'm not storing data. That is called what? Spot. So these are the use cases where you're selecting this on this thing. All servers are basically web servers, application, database server, any application you can run. Your choice. Because EC2 giving a flexibility to configure yourself. I appreciate your questions. It's related and it's good. Anyone want to say something, please?
Sir, sport instance can I explain?
Sorry?
Sport instance.
Both instance means what?
Sport instance.
Okay, spot. Spot is a kind of instance example. I'll just give example of car. I'm going for a car rental service provider, and I want a car. I want to do some kind of you can say stunt, or I want to learn the car. I'm not a good driver, so I'm going to take Mercedes, new showroom Mercedes or used Mercedes. That means if I take Mercedes although something, it's going to be very costly for me to rent and to practice it. So I'm just practicing in the practicing, maybe like it can be accident or something, so I'll not bear that cost, right? So what the provider, service provider will say, what we have some spare cars which are very old, use this for kind of thing like here for training yourself, right? And we'll give a discount of what the pricing will be, rental will be very less. Same thing Amazon is giving different pricing model. If you go for spot model, spot instance servers, they're saying that you can use it the 90% discount, and but there is no guarantee of the server. Sometimes it's going to be off. Don't store the data. Is it clear?
Okay. Why we use spot instance in like
Example,
companies?
you're a cloud engineer. You're a cloud engineer in a company, right? And the manager says that, hey Sebin, just here what I need is, Sebin, I want a kind of favor from you because we are getting challenged from different teams, and the other branches and other departments say that they are not able to do that. They want Oracle software to be installed, and they need to have some patching. They need to have some kind of this, and they want that it should be run for specific functionality to be run, but they are not able to do. But even you don't know idea about that, and you are new for this, but you have accepted the challenge. So are you going to go for on-demand server, or are you going to go for reserved server? The costing will be different. Amazon saying that when you want to do practice internally and you are not storing your business data or something, go for what? Spot, where you are saving the costs.
Okay.
Clear? Sebin is clear?
Got it. Yeah, it's clear.
Wonderful. I appreciate your questions. That's wonderful. Make some points, please. Always listen to class. Be ready with a pen paper. Do it. Any questions, please? Samiuddin, Rishabh, Salam, Zoha, and Soumya is here.